It's been a while since I could open up this chart. Yo, yo, yo. What up? I want to talk about a few things. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. The past few weeks been crazy. All right, we had the plummet thing a few weeks ago. That was before the oop. And so we did that. Then we went out to New Orleans, had a crazy night. Then the city, because I live in the New Orleans area, but we went to the city, where the parties are. And then this past week we went to Tennessee, which I talked about in another video already. So it's just been out and about, but I miss you guys with everything going on. So let's get into the chart. And I also want to just kind of talk through some of the logic of some of the plays that we ran this week on SPY. I've been tweeting out SPY, just kind of what I'm doing with SPY on a day-to-day basis. Just some day trades, options, calls and puts. Pretty fun. We've been having a good time with it. And to be honest with you, we've been absolutely destroying SPY. So we definitely want to talk about that, because I think that my mission here is to empower retail, and I think that giving retail some game on, some ways to win in the market is a good thing. But first, let's talk about AMC and where we see it. To be honest with you, this is going to be completely real time. I haven't looked at this chart in a long time because I've just really been looking at SPY. And since this is a long-term hold, it's more like I don't have to sit here and look at it all day, every day. I can make money other places. And then if I want to, I can put it in this. So let's take a look at where we're at, because I think we're in an interesting place. Just briefly looking at it here, obviously we had the 1450 level that we were watching for a long time. If you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We bounced right into this golden pocket, bounced up, and since then we've made higher highs and higher lows into this phase that we're in now, right? So where are we now? Let's look at the 5-day. Because what the question, especially from a Wyckoffean standpoint, that you're going to ask yourself is, was this, right? Was this region, oh my goodness, that was terrible. Was this region, oh my God, was it accumulation? Right? That's the big question. It's a big question, right? I think that it goes without saying that this overall has been a distribution phase. Okay, and the reason that we know that is because we found our way back to where we came from, right? So I don't think there's a doubt that there was a level of distribution. Okay. But at a certain point, there will be a return to an accumulation, I believe, for the stock, because I do believe that the long-term narrative is there. So, and remember, Wyckoff, it's a reactive thing, right? Like, institutions trade reactively. What they're trying to do is create a push-up to test liquidity and see if they should push up further. Or, if there aren't buyers up here, if they should push down again to reaccumulate, right? So distribute so that then they can buy again at lower levels to try and push the price up again, and then see if they can find buyers then. That's pretty much what happens, right? Pretty much, dude. So what do we think? Now, I know from a schematic standpoint, we might be saying to ourselves, all right, you had like a sell climax type event here. Oh, let me make my numbers big. We're early in the video. I caught it early, relatively early, because this is so small. So we had a sell climax type event here, an automatic reaction, maybe. Let's see. This could have been a sell test, and a sell test in phase B. This would be like the phase B distribution, maybe. And then this would have been like that phase C, last point of support, before you had a sign of strength above the trading range. And now what you're doing is the backup last point of support type phase, right? Where you're retesting this 1775-ish region, which seems to be a key level of support, right? From a Fibonacci standpoint, if we pull the Fibonacci from the bottom of this move here to the top here, you can see that this is your 382 Fibonacci region that you're bouncing off of a couple times now. Obviously, you're creating lower highs here, right? Oh man, that looks like you could just drag out forever on this. Let's see if we can create an uptrend. Perhaps you can say on the short term you have an uptrend, that you're establishing here, but it will take you a little bit of time to come down and like realize this uptrend. I mean, unless I know that Composite Man, the news came out and said that war is imminent or whatever with Ukraine and Russia, like there's going to be an invasion at some point. Or Composite Man, Joe Biden, the president. Sorry, not you know what? Forget that I said that. So yeah, maybe you open on Monday if the fear is still there and it just drives everything down or something. And like we talked about, we did talk about this $16 level as like your golden pocket, right? We talked about that before, the $16 to $17 range. So yeah, you could see something like that, and I think that that's still validate. Like you could still do that and be well validated in an accumulation. A lot of times these accumulations with their backup phases, they'll come back and retest pretty deeper in the trading range than you might expect. So overall, I think that you're kind of wait and see right now on AMC, and I think that's pretty obvious, right? Like the sentiment is pretty easy to pull from there. That you are in this sort of wait and see phase. But I think, man, look, we did a really good job on calling this bottom. Because if you remember, before my hiatus, one of the things that we did was we said, hey, this is an uptrend that we're establishing. And then combining that with that 1450-ish region, on the daily chart, you only have this one break below. Everything else held above. And this is where we eventually blasted off from. So this trend line was so on point for us. In putting us in a position to get that move up. And then, obviously the 1450, the Fibonacci level that we've been talking about. So you're in a pretty interesting spot with AMC, guys. Like, I think that regardless, my bias is that this is going to behave as at least a local bottom, and that you should start to see some more moves up into the $25 to $30 zone. That would be my bias, just just looking at this on a short-term basis, just looking at the chart, just looking at it. Let's see if we can get any downtrends here that we might have been breaking recently or anything like that. Let's see. Yeah. Nothing. Let's see. Let's see if this was a downtrend. What is this? Yeah. Okay. You could say here that you have somewhat of a downtrend. Let's pull it down here a little bit further and just say, hey, bodies of the candles are the ones that matter. Here. Okay. Yeah, so maybe you got rejected down by this, and then once you break out of here, then you can get further explosion. What does that look like? So maybe you round up here, head down, and up. And then you kind of have a sign of strength and a backup above this part of the trading range. Yeah, I could definitely see that. So again, just so I'm being clear, so for the purpose of this video, in my opinion, it looks like you have a strong case that you have seen the bottom for AMC here. This isn't a promise. It's not financial advice. But I do believe that you have had a local bottom occur here. And if you've been following the channel for some time, that's not something that, I come out and say, all right? It's kind of a meme at this point. But I did talk about how you could come down into this region, test this $12 zone, this 14, between here and the 1450, because this was kind of the zone that we left last before we had the blast off in June. I don't think that it's necessary. I think that this trend line, this upward trend that we drew from here with the touch point back here in February, it was the rejection point after the buy button catastrophe. You have a rejection point here, support, a lot of trading happening here, support here. I just think that this trend line, it's got enough juice in it, and you could come back and retest it, right? What would that be? Like if you retested this towards the end of the month, it would come back down to 1550 or so. You could come back and retest it for sure, but I do think that this will, to me, based on the volume, based on all the action that we've seen, this will eventually be the bottom that we look back on and say, damn, I should have bought that shit when it was sub $14 on January 28th. I should have bought more. That's what I think will happen. So that's my bias. Let's talk about SPY. The things that we've been doing to SPY, very terrible things. Terrible. Oh man, we have been all over SPY, man. Like I had one slip up, and I'll show you what that slip up was. And then it turned out to not even really be a slip up. Shoot, I don't have the tweets ready. But look, SPY is simple, man. Like lately, I don't know if it's just I'm in a rhythm or what it is, but recently, man, it's like everything that SPY does kind of has the same kind of look about it. Which is it just does wedges, falling or rising wedges. It basically tells you, hey, I am about to break out. You should buy calls. And it's crazy because, like, nobody, I don't know, like, I don't really see anybody charting it this way. But, today, for example, well, I mean, we can tell the whole story here. So let's do today, for example, first, and then we'll go back. So today, for example, whenever the market was about to open, I was out of everything. I had empty hands. Yesterday, I got stopped out of puts. I was driving home from Tennessee. Whenever this pop-up happened right here, I got stopped out of my remaining puts, and I was fine with that because they were deep in profit. I moved my stop losses up and everything because I was driving. And so then when market opened today, I was like, I'm going to be kind of on the sidelines a little bit because I thought that with this big dip that you had in pre-market, that you were going to have significant IV, and the contracts were just going to be way too expensive no matter what direction it went. But you see here that throughout the course of the day, the price started to consolidate and tighten. And what I was saying was I was looking for 431.50-ish to enter calls. And I mean, trust me when I say, this is the 5-minute chart, by the way. Sorry, my cat is trying to interrupt video. Emba. I was saying 431.50. The tone around SPY was very bearish on Twitter. Okay, everybody's talking about they're very bearish. Everybody thinks the world's ending or whatever. Probably some bad news came out or something. I don't really pay attention to the news. Ukraine, Russia, whatever, but anyway, I just saw this falling wedge, and I'm sitting here. And I'm like, okay, I tweeted it out probably in this region here, sometimes before noon. And I said, I'm going to start averaging in the calls here now. So like once it got under 432.50, I started to get a little worried that it wasn't going to eventually extend down to this 431.50. And I had the 431.50 in my head because it was a fib level, I believe, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, look, I saw this candle here. When it retraced, I was like, yeah, I'm loading up here just in case. I bought, and I was ready for it to go down lower as well and buy more. And then it just immediately just rocketed off and absolutely killed it. I mean, easy 100% plus trade on these options. I was trimming out whenever it came down like this and then bounced back up, trimmed out again. And this whole time I'm tweeting on Twitter. I'm on Twitter like, hey, make sure you're moving your stop loss, protect yourself against risk. But, I can see this thing going to 438. It never went to 438 today, and it actually fell off of the face of the earth. Whenever it did this, though, and it came back down to this like 432.74 region, I'm watching this Fibonacci. here. And I basically see this, the 433 as a 786. I'm like, hey, I'm going to play the bounce on this. So I took some of my trims, the profits that I had from trims up here in this range, and I rebought back in, and then boom, you have this big explosion. Now, aftermarket composite man, I mean the president, Mr. President Joe Biden spoke and said that he thought that there's war is imminent or whatever. I don't think that matters. I swung some of the calls. Obviously, it matters for post market, but options don't trade in post market, so I don't really care about that for that. And I think that probably, man, like, you know, futures open green in my opinion. That's what I think, that futures will be green. So that's what I'm expecting. As far as other things that we did, so this Fed meeting on the 16th, I got faked out by this, honestly. So I was playing this. I bought puts here, okay, in this sort of region, okay, oh snap, my numbers are small. Oh, trading view, dude. Have a YouTuber mode or something, dude. Step it up, man. Shit. So I bought puts around here. I said, yeah, I'm buying puts because I saw this kind of just this. It fucking rocketed up in pre-market, and then it's just like doing this. I'm like, no, dude, I'm buying puts. This is not real. It's like 446, right? This is not real. So then we had this dip. I'm like, yay, the world's ending, and then it pops back up. I'm like, damn. So then I'm still in puts. Okay. Still in puts. Wait, was it? No, I'm still in the puts, and I'm waiting for that big knife. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to fill this gap right here. And this was Wednesday. Yeah, this was Wednesday. And so I'm like, I have the Wednesday expiring puts. And when it starts to pop up like here, the 444, shout out to Jay-Z, I was like, I'm buying puts for Friday expiry, right? So this Friday, like today, right? And then this Fed meeting, dude, goes, and it just melts faces, dude. It just SPY absolutely explodes. And I said, I tweeted this out. So I tweeted this rising wedge here that ended up forming, I think. I tweeted this out, and I was like, I would rather them expire worthless than to sell up here. Like, I'm just not selling them at $448. Like, I'm not selling at that big of a loss or whatever. If I didn't already have a stop loss in, which I didn't in this scenario, and I don't necessarily recommend that unless you're playing really small size and you're comfortable with losing everything, obviously. But I was like, I'm not selling them up here. I think it was actually this candle that I tweeted out, 447.50. I was like, I'm not selling it. So then SPY just absolutely jumps off of a cliff. I'm driving home, and then this bleed out is happening here. I set a stop loss towards the end of the day, and then boom, this pop up gets my stop loss. And then today we even went lower. They were 438 puts, by the way. So like, so I bought them at like 444, rode them down to 442, just waiting for the big knife because I thought this looked like distribution. Get blasted in the face by composite. No, what's his name? The FOMC guy, Powell. I get blasted in the face by Powell, which I never thought I'd say that. And then you just jump off of a freaking cliff, and I should have held them freaking longer, dude. They at one point today, I saw them. They were like $5 a contract. I think I bought them for like 80 cents. I was like, damn. But yeah. But anyway, so that was good. And then obviously we played call side, and the mistake that I made here was I should have sold. I should have stopped being greedy. Once I saw this peak right here, and then we broke here. This is the lesson to take away. Once we broke this 436.30, I should have just taken whatever profit I had. And then watch to see what happened, right? See if bears show some weakness here, and then you can have continuation. But once you see this sort of like double toppy sort of motion, you need to understand, like, look, maybe just get out, take your profit with you, because I mean we were calling the bottom here. I didn't nail the bottom, but I was definitely buying like 432 to 432.50. And I mean, you have a very profitable trade here. I think I bought like 442 calls, but anyway, I think that going into futures, you're gonna see green. You probably open green or whatever because the war's off again or whatever. It's been on again, off again like 30 times this week. So I'm sure that the war will be off again, and then it'll probably be on again after that, and we can play puts to the downside if we want to. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. My fiance is calling me and rushing me off of the video. Oh, by the way, I was just talking to Rico, and I've been talking about other things, like on Twitter, and I'm thinking about doing like a podcast or something where I just talk about just like other things that are happening in the world, whether it's market or just pop culture type of things or music or whatever. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, leave a comment down below or hit me up on Twitter and let me know that it would be something that you would listen to / watch on YouTube. I don't know, maybe like hour-long talk for the podcast, and then I would probably kind of structure it so that I could have clips that come out of it that I would post on like a separate channel or maybe here, something like that. I don't know, but hopefully you enjoy the video. Have a good weekend. I will be posting more regularly. I don't think that I'm gonna disappear off of the face of the earth again in the near future. It's just been a crazy few weeks, but yeah, until next time, hopefully you enjoyed. And well, I sang a song at the beginning, so do I have to sing a song to close? Do 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 do. I want something else to get me through this semi-charm kind of life, baby, baby. All right, dude. Hey, hug a loved one for me, okay? Tell them that hug was from Dave. All right. Take it easy.